My mom used to say that my story was the American story, part Steve Jobs and part Forrest Gump. I've been setting challenges for myself since I was 18 years old. I've crocodile wrestled, swam with the great white sharks, and even climbed the face of El Capitan. But these things are difficult for me because I have heart rate triggered asthma, which is like breathing through a pillow while running at altitude. I also set professional challenges. I'm a serial entrepreneur, Forbes book author, and philanthropist. My thoughts have been published in 25 publications, including Fortune, Entrepreneur, and the Huffington Post. I have dyslexia, which is like trying to read while on a roller coaster at an amusement park ride. Everything is moving. I have processing disorders, which is like imagine your thoughts stuck in the spin cycle of a washing machine. What's happening on the inside is a lot different than what's going on the outside. Okay. But I think that struggles are things that come upon you, and challenges are things that you choose. So I choose to convert my struggles to challenges so that I can overcome them. I had limitations, so college just wasn't in the cards for me. I decided that maybe I could become an entrepreneur. I focused on the two things I needed to know to be an entrepreneur. One was finance and the other was software. In my early 20s, I landed a finance job. I was working multiple jobs at the time, and my boss had me come in one day, and I was terrified that I was going to lose my job, that I was going to get fired, but he just wanted to take me to lunch. And on the way, we stopped at a Ferrari dealership, and he let me drive the car off the lot. He slapped the dashboard and he looked at me, and it was pretty awesome. And I remember him looking at me and saying, "One of these days, you will have one of these." And years later, I started my own finance company, a wholesale lender. And I did buy that Ferrari, but I sold it because I just didn't feel right. It just wasn't me, and I kind of felt like a jerk. The second thing I needed to learn was software, so I landed a job at a computer learning school and took all the classes and learned software. It took me 17 years, but the company I created sold as part of an eBay transaction for $925 million. Considering that they thought I was just going to be digging ditches my whole life, worked out pretty good. I wanted to get involved in politics, so I became the chairman for a congressman, and through that I was able to meet my hero, President Barack Obama. This is me too. It's all here. The story of my life. I choose to wear it. I choose to keep it close to me. The tattoos remind me of the important people and life events that influenced me. My mother was a nun and my father was a priest, and so they obviously never planned on being parents. But they left the church and got married and had my brother, and then adopted my sister from Korea, and then they had me. And I was not an easy baby. I had 9 blood transfusions and my heart stopped twice, so I was declared dead twice. My parents got divorced, and later on, my mom married the social worker who was assigned to us. In the 80s, we lived in Oakland, and my mom made a bold move and bought some land at the base of the Sierra Mountains. And we lived in tents while we built our house, and I raised livestock to make money and feed the family. I remember being hungry and waiting outside the chicken coop for the chickens to lay an egg so I could cook it on the wood stove. At school, I would sell Rubik's Cubes for money, and for an extra charge, I would solve the Rubik's Cubes. I made more money on solving the puzzle than the Rubik's Cube. And during Christmas, I would knock mistletoe out of the trees and sell it in front of the grocery store. So at school, I was paraded with all the other kids like me to the back of the parking lot where there was a trailer. And everybody knew the kids that went to the trailer. And so this led to a lot of name calling. They would call me retard and weakling, among other things. And some of us would wait and peek out of the window. I used to sit there and wait till all the kids would leave so I wouldn't get beat up in between. These tattoos remind me of the kindness and courage of the people that were close to me. My adopted brother, Rain, is here. He committed suicide. And my best friend, Jay, is here. He died of cancer. And this is my mother's boot print. We did the 220 miles and 28 mountains of the John Muir Trail before she passed away of cancer. These marks inspire me to always be grateful. Every year on my birthday, I choose a challenge. And one year I decided I was going to run a marathon. And so my first day out, I ran a mile and then I collapsed of exhaustion. But 10 months later, I ran the marathon. Now, it took me 7.5 hours and they were pretty much closed up by the time I got there, but I did it. Another time, I decided I was going to take the challenge on to ride a bike from San Francisco to LA, which is 525 miles. My first day out, I took my bicycle, I made it 5 miles, and there was a little hill, and I had an asthma attack and ran into the back of a parked SUV in front of a bunch of people. It was horrible. There was all these people, and they stopped, and I was just like, go away, and they were like, are you okay? And I was like, just go away, you know? It was pretty embarrassing, but I did that too. I made it. I did all 525 miles. At one point, I started a technology company on a folding table out of my bedroom and grew that to over 100 people. But then the dot bomb hit. I had to lay off 95% of my people and move out of our nice office and into a barn. It was a barn. And then I had to move my family out of a comfortable home into a dark, moldy studio apartment with 3 young kids. People ask, how do I do these things? How do I make these things happen? Well, when I felt weak, like quitting, I focused on 5 things, 5 principles. 1 for each finger to help me remember. Focus, drive, enthusiasm, discipline, and optimism. Just a handful of things. Let's start with focus. I had no investors and I didn't come from money, so I would have to eat breakfast at hotel buffets and dinner at bar happy hours. But I was so focused on getting out of my situation that these things were just distractions. Now, drive is the ability to visualize where you want to be as if it's already there and it's just up to you to arrive at the location that you imagined. It's like crossing the finish line at a race. Enthusiasm, it's something that you have to be excited about, the journey and the destination, and all of the things you're going to learn along the way. Discipline is the most difficult. Discipline is a It's like a muscle. It's not natural. It's always hard. Discipline pushes you when drive fails, and it forces you to do those things that you don't want to do first instead of last. Discipline is the solution for procrastination. Optimism is the biology of hope. It's the seed of enthusiasm. Optimism paints a picture of your goal and makes it feel real. So I still struggle, but I thrive with autism, processing disorders, dyslexia, and asthma. Growing up, I was a handful, but I guess I converted those struggles to challenges to create a full hand. And now I offer my hand to you.
I know there are going to be a whole lot of questions from the audience, but I queued up a few of my own, so I hope that's okay. What is the biggest piece of advice you would give to people who don't believe in themselves?
I don't think, I honestly, I don't think I still don't believe that I believe in myself, but I believe in my ability to do things. So I think believing in yourself is too holistic and broad. I know I can make a business or do a marathon or whatever. I know I can achieve those things. And that's how I believe in myself instead of like broadly.
Okay, I love the Ferrari story. You know that I do. Tell me why you felt like a jerk. I mean, it's a Ferrari. It sounds pretty cool to most of us to be able to have one.
So when you're driving around, you know, and you drive by somebody who is, you know, you could tell that they're just struggling, right? They're just trying to make it. And then they look at you. How can you feel good about yourself when there are homeless people on the street and you're driving a $250,000 car? And even $1,000 of that could change their lives. So that's when I shifted any sort of motivation I had from enhancing myself to enhancing others and trying to help in my little tiny way.
Doesn't seem very tiny to me. How do we make sure that there's a more level playing field in the business world for people with particular disorders?
That is hard. In fact, doing this was like a big thing for me because I'm worried about the outcome, about people judging me. But if you try to judge anybody based on what they're not good at, then you're going to get a negative judgment of that person. And if the things that you can't see are the things that they're good at, then maybe you shouldn't be judging them at all.
You've set challenges for yourself your whole life. What's the next one?
I want to swim 5 miles in the open ocean. That's one of them. And I want to meet the Dalai Lama. That's another one. I think it was easier to meet Barack Obama than it is the Dalai Lama.
Do you have a game plan for that, I bet?
These things, they always take a long time. And when I'm running the marathon as an example, and this reminds me of life, when you're running, I ran so slow, you guys don't even understand. Like, I mean, there were people passing me. I mean, it was embarrassing to say the least. But when you're running that slow, it feels like you're going nowhere. And you look in front of you and the distance is just forever. But then if you look right down in front of you, the road is moving really fast. And that's sort of like the way I think about achieving things in life and sort of my metaphor for life. It may seem slow because we're all looking straight ahead of us down this long way that we have to go. But if we look directly down underneath us, the road is moving really fast. And every grain of sand on that road is a minute. I think it's good to keep in perspective that you have more time than you think, but you have less moments than you think.
Oh, I think that's a lovely way for us to wrap this up, Greg. I so appreciate you being as open as you've been with us and sharing your journey. I think that people have learned a lot in just a short piece of time about your challenges, about your gifts. And I, for one, look forward to reading your book. So I hope it comes out soon.
Thank you. And I hope this helps all the other people that are like me. You can do it. You can do things.
Thank you, Greg, so much.